Football is back, y'all. Welcome to the Breaking and Entering podcast presented by Premium. I'm Brandon. He's Ed. Ed, how was your all season?
It's going all right, man. Excited for football to be back. I watched some of the Hall of Fame game. The only thing I was really excited for, since none of the damn players
Yeah.
who I care about playing, which I want to talk to you about in a second, was the new kickoff format. I thought that was kind of interesting. The way they got that set up. I want to see how teams will get creative with that because the new way they're kicking the ball out, I think it will. The way they got it set up, it will make it safer for players. They're not running like full speed at each other, but it does look harder to score. So I wonder who's going to be the first team to score off a kickoff and how teams will copy that format if they do start finding some success. Did you see that at all? Any of that game?
I didn't catch any of it, but I saw the highlights on the following morning. I did. I think I saw one play, one of those kickoff plays where one of the guys jumped off sides. But I still got to research into that new cooking rule. But I think it's, if what I saw correctly, it looks like they're kicking off from the basically the opposing side of the field. So, like you said, trying to cut down on the injuries and stuff like that.
Yeah, the usually like the players from both teams they get like a yards in between them, but it's like they probably got like they're like right. It's kind of like a normal play where you hike the ball and then the defense and the
Mm.
offensive line get at each other. They're like probably like 5 yards apart, where the kick return team and the kickoff team block each other. So it's kind of interesting to see that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, man, as far as the off season, just ready for football to start. I'm ready for week one.
Yeah.
Got a little bit faith in my Washington Commanders. I'll see how long it takes for them to destroy that, or if they'll, get good at it. But yeah, man, let's get into it. Get started with this opening drive. A federal judge has overturned a jury verdict in the NFL's Sunday ticket lawsuit. I saw that Jerry Jones was happy about that, so I guess it's another victory for the NFL and its owners. All season there's free agent signings. There's a lot of contract extensions as well. Some quarterbacks got paid. Packers quarterback Jordan Love signed a 4-year, $220 million contract extension. Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa signs a 4-year, $212 million contract extension. And of course, there's always injuries that happen preseason and training camp. Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert has had a foot injury, the plantar fascia or something like that. He'll be out the next 2 weeks. And then DeAndre Hopkins, he'll be out the next 4 to 6 weeks with a knee injury. I believe they said it was a knee strain. Also, Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill extended his contract that will guarantee him $106.5 million over the next 4 years. And also, it was Hall of Fame, weekend. So there'll be 7 new members included inducted into the Hall of Fame. That's Randy Gradishier, Steve McMichael, Dwight Freeney, Devin Hester, Andre Johnson, Julius Peppers, and Patrick Willis. So congrats to all those gentlemen for getting into the Hall of Fame. All right, so this show, we're doing a preview. We're going to start with the NFC South, then move over to the NFC North. We're going to start this NFC South, though. Brandon, what team you like to start with, man?
I'm gonna go with last year's division winner, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think you and I both said around this time last year we had no confidence in this team. Tom Brady had just retired. They had Baker Mayfield, and I can't remember who the backup was. And then out of nowhere, this team started winning games. They won a lot of come from behind games. Um, Baker looked like his 2018 rookie version of himself. He had a really good season. Um, and then talking about this off season, they locked down Bake. He's going to be there, I think, a 3-year extension, if I'm not mistaken. Mike Evans got paid. He stayed put. There was some rumors, hey, is he going to leave town? Because, a lot of guys don't stick with their teams. You and I both have said this guy is probably a first ballot Hall of Famer because he's done it consistently, and he's had consistent, consecutive 1,000-yard seasons basically every year since he's been in the league with quarterbacks that were lackluster besides the 2 or 3 years with Tom Brady. And then they just locked down Tristan Wirfs, I think, within the past couple days, the big offensive lineman there, and you still have Chris Godwin. As far as the offensive standpoint, I think they're pretty set. I think the big concerns last year was their inability to run the ball. They did still bring back Rashid White. Outside of him, a couple guys I haven't really too much heard about. So we'll see if they focus on running the ball. Will they stick with that the pass game that was so successful with them last year? Um, Again, that's my biggest concern is running the ball, and then how would this defense fare without some of their key defenders? Shaq Barrett, he announced his retirement a couple weeks
Mm-hmm.
ago. You got two new starting corners out there. I think their strong point. Always been a fan of Big Veda Vea. Always look forward to seeing him play and clogging the run up in the middle and getting those quarterbacks faces. And Antoine Whitfield Jr. He's been a steady point for them since he's been drafted, just like his father was. So I think that I like Tampa Bay to win this division again.
Kind of repeat.
We'll
Okay.
see how they go. How do you feel about Atlanta this year?
Yeah, Tampa Bay, like you said, they
I'm
won a
sorry, Tampa.
division. I was going looking at the just the overall records of the teams, as that division like came down to the wire because a bunch of teams,
Mhm.
well, I think two teams finished 9-8, the Saints and Tampa Bay. Like you said, Shaq Barrett retired. You said they got two starting new cornerbacks. I think Carlton Davis got traded away. I'm trying to remember who he got traded to. If it's not in the division, I think he's still in the NFC at least. They did pick up some people. They picked up Sterling Shepard. Hopefully he can remain healthy because, he's been banged up like the last 3-4 years, it seems, that with some devastating injuries. They also picked up linebacker Randy Gregory and safety Jordan Whitehead. I'm trying to remember who they drafted. They drafted a tackle, Graham Barton, in the first round, and they picked up an edge rusher, Chris Braswell, in the second round. So they focus on the offensive and defensive line. Like you said, Vita Vea on the defensive side of the ball kind of reminds me a little bit of Lodi Nada. Then on the offensive side of the ball, definitely Tristan Wirfs. He was very important in that Super Bowl they had when Tom Brady was at the helm. So I kind of agree with you. I think they have a good shot of repeating. I want to see how Baker Mayfield does. I know he did really good last year, especially with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Like you said, I definitely agree with Mike Evans being a Hall of Famer. I think he's like second with like a consecutive 1,000-yard receivings, only trailing behind Jerry Rice, and he's got that Super Bowl under his badge now too. So I definitely think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. But the one team we'll talk about in a few, Atlanta. I don't know if Tampa Bay is going to repeat. I think it'll be a tight race again this year. I kind of see the Saints dropping off, but I do think Tampa Bay will be right there. But my only concern is, I guess, Baker Mayfield. I know he's done it. He's got that contract now, so he's comfortable there. But now there is, expectations. I think going into last year, there was, we'll see what he's got. He's kind of, I guess, in a sense, he had pressure last year because he was playing for his NFL career. Like, I'm sure he would have been a backup if he didn't do too well last year, or if he was just average. But he got him to a playoff game, won a damn playoff game. So now there's expectations. So how are you going to do with those expectations? If people expect you to win again, I'll see if you'll live up to it or not, or if you'll fold under pressure. I'm kind of 50-50 on the fence with that, so we'll see. But yeah, I think Tampa Bay will be good. I think they'll be competing in this league for sure. So you want to start with Atlanta next?
Yeah, exactly what I was thinking. I think that the Falcons are going to take a leap into second place in their division this coming year. I do feel like they had a little bit of a low key mess there in the offseason. You talk about when they added Kirk Cousins. Everybody's like, if you want to get money, you want to get paid, you be Kirk Cousins because he's got what 2 or 3 guaranteed contracts now, and coming off a very bad injury, they took a risk with him with Atlanta. But then again, they didn't really have much to at that position last year. You talk about Desmond Ritter, the year that he had last year. So they kind of needed to change. He is an upgrade, but we'll see how that goes. And then they sign him, and then the following month they draft Michael Penix. I think it was the number 7 overall pick, give or take in there. And that was a whole mess because they was like, well, apparently Kirk Cousins didn't know. Obviously you get paid 4-year deal, guaranteed money, and you're thinking you're going to be the starter, and you draft a guy, and now these quarterbacks are pretty much getting drafted in the first round and starting. So he's still number one on the depth chart, Kirk Cousins, but we'll see how that goes and what the how the fans will react if they get into a losing situation or don't produce on offense with all this talent around. Let's get back to the head coach. Raheem Morris is now there. I'm kind of glad that he's there compared to was Arthur Smith. I think he had ran out his time a couple years ago with them. Um, they ran the ball efficiently last year. I think I've heard during this off season that they're going to try to put Bijan Robinson into that Christian McCaffrey type role. Not only use him obviously in the run game, but use him as a flex catching balls on the outside. Christian McCaffrey has just been lighting things up pretty much his whole career. So hopefully that'll work out for Bijan. They still got their set as far as the skill position goes. Rondell Moore, Darnell Mooney, Drake London, who had a fantastic year last year, and Kyle Pitts. I know you've been critical of them not throwing the ball to him for fantasy
I'm gonna get into it.
purposes. And I think their O line is pretty good as well. Anchored by Jake Matthews. Of course, his father was a Hall of Fame tackle himself. Defensively, I'm expecting a good unit as well. I mean, they've lost some guys as well, but I think their secondary is that strong point. Jesse Bates is back there. AJ Terrell, the corner position. They did lose big Campbell, used to play for us. Calais Campbell.
Yeah.
He left in free agency, but I think the offense will help this year. If they can keep it going, the offense will definitely help a young defense get going. And Grady Jarrett as well. I do like him as well. Defensive end there, but it always helps to have a good kicker. Young Wei Koo. A lot of people may not think about it, but he's pretty much the second best kicker in football. He's the best kicker in the NFC. So a lot of their games over the past couple of years have came down to his foot, and he has delivered. Therefore, a small point last year, he became the most accurate kicker in NFL history. He took over for Justin Tucker, who had missed a couple kicks. And again, Younghoe was making every kick out there. So if you can have a guy like him when you're marching down the field, 2 minutes left to play, and you got all you need is a field goal to win or force overtime. And, he's a guy that you can rely on. So I feel very confident that Atlanta will come in second place in this division and make a little bit more noise than they did last year. How about you?
Yeah, I agree with you. Definitely shout out to the new head coach, Raheem Morris. He's coming over from the Rams. I want to say he was
Correct.
a DC for them, assistant head coach or something like that. He also brought over some guys because they got a new OC and a new DC. Zach Robson, he's coming over from the Rams too. He's going to be the new offensive coordinator. And then Jimmy Lake, he's also coming over from the Rams. He's going to be the new defensive coordinator. So I'm interested to see how this new coaching staff is going to come out. You kind of got me more in tune to, coaching staffs and drill, not just the head coach, and also just like doing this podcast a little more. I've started to become a little bit more interested in these coaching staffs, not just the head coach, because I was looking at how Washington Commanders and their training staff, coaching staff last year, and I just like, yeah, we're gonna save that for another day. But yeah, like you said, Rondell Moore, they got to him over in a trade with the Cardinals when they got rid of Desmond Ridder, who I think is gonna be Kirk Cousins gonna be a massive upgrade over him. Desmond Ridder just didn't work out. Like you said, Kyle Pitts, they didn't throw the ball. When they did throw the ball, it was either 5 yards over his head, 5 yards behind him, or 5 yards out in front of him. So he hardly didn't have a damn chance of catching the ball. If he did, he was getting it knocked off his head or knocked off his feet trying to catch a damn ball. Same thing for Drake London, who I think is a really good receiver. Hopefully, with Kirk Cousins in, it'll provide a little bit more stability in that position. And like you said, I like the Michael Penix pick. At first, I was kind of like, oh, interesting. I was shocked by it, but I think they were just looking ahead, looking into the future. I'm sure Kirk Cousins will be the starter, barring any injuries for at least the next couple of years. And then, by that, I think they'll go do what they kind of what Green Bay did with Jordan Love. They draft him in the first round. Then he waits about 2-3 years before he finally gets in the league or getting a game to start. So I think the same thing will happen with Michael Penix. Also gives him some time to like learn, heal up, because I know he was dealing with some injuries in college. So hopefully by the time he does play, he will be able to be 100% healthy and get out there. But yeah, like I said, Kirk Cousins, I'm agreeing with you. As long as Kirk Cousins can stay healthy, I'm kind of shocked because I feel like he had that Achilles injuries kind of late in the season last year. I have to take a look, see exactly when he get injured. But from what I'm hearing, he's going to be ready to go when a regular season starts. I haven't seen that he's on a pup list or anything like that, and I think he's been practicing, which is kind of surprising to me. Because I feel like Achilles injuries are like a year at least, but maybe advancements in medicine and science and all that good stuff is kind of easier to come back from. But yeah, I agree with you. I think they're gonna come in the second place or maybe even first place in this division. They finished 7-10 last year. I can see them doing a 9-8 or even a 10-7, flip their record over from last year. I like the weapons they got on offense, like you said, Bijan Robinson. I think he's going to be an explosive player. They didn't really use Tyler Algier as much as I thought they would last year. He's their other running back, but when he was a rookie 2 years ago, he had like over 1,000 yards, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but he seemed like a pretty good running back. So I feel like they'll utilize both of them more, especially if you're saying that they're going to use Bijan Robinson more as a dual wheel type of back running and passing game. So I feel like they can, get both of them involved. That'll make their offense be even more explosive. And I think Drake London with Kirk Cousins, he can have a breakout year. The same thing for Kyle Pitts. I'm kind of scared though. I don't know. Like I said, Kyle Pitts in fantasy, I don't know if I pick him up, he'll be a bust. But if I don't pick him up, I'm scared that motherfucker gonna go off for like 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns, something like that, which I definitely can see happen with Kirk Cousins. But kind of like Baker Mayfield, I got the same thing with Kirk Cousins. I might be biased because he played with Washington back in the day, but I think he's good enough to get you to the playoffs. But from what I've seen from him, he's kind of like reminds me a little bit like Tony Romo. He'll get you to the big game, and then he'll just fold, or when it matters most, he'll fold like a bag of laundry. So I'm not too sure if he can put them over the top as far as getting to a Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl. But definitely he has a good shot at winning this division. So yeah, I got them tied for first or right now at least second place. So we just talked about the Falcons and the Tampa Bay Bucks. You got the Panthers and the Saints left. Who you want to go with next, Brandon?
I've liked the Saints since the Drew Brees days. Back in 2006, we was in high school there when he joined there, but I don't feel like they did enough to improve their roster. Honestly, Mike Thomas, he isn't there anymore. I know you think he's still a free agent. He's missed a lot of time over the past, I would say, 3 to 5 years, but he was still a reliable threat for Derek Carr. Speaking of Derek Carr, you just don't know what you're going to get out of him. You know what I'm saying? Some days he'll get 400 passing yards and a couple touchdowns, no interceptions. And then some days it's like, oh, like, what are you doing? Like, like turnovers, interceptions, everything. So they still have no depth at the tight end position. I mean, the guys here, Juwan Johnson, I think he was there last year.
Well,
Their
they got
backup
your
tight
boy
end.
Taysom Hill. They got tight.
Yeah, that's what I was going to next. He's number 2 on the. Come on now, okay. Listen, I love Taysom Hill. I think he got a little overpaid a couple years ago, but he is not a tight end. He's a. Although we could probably call him. We call him an H back, honestly, because like they do a little bit of everything. I mean, don't get me wrong. This guy's a threat. He catches touchdowns. He throws touchdowns. He's helped them a lot over the years. But I mean, when we talk about some of these teams are having dual tight ends, like even Baltimore, we got Mark Andrews and can't even think of my own guy.
Likely.
Thank you, Isaiah Likely. So you got to have, I think, 2 guys at tight end nowadays to help your offense out. It's a passing league. But yeah, as far as the I think that on the defensive side of the ball, they added in Chase Young. I think that's a good pickup to go along with Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan's getting a little bit older, getting a little bit up in age. So I think, you get somebody that got some winning experience as well as far as his last stint in San Fran. He went to the Super Bowl. So he'll hopefully, bring that winning culture over there and help them out. You still got the Honey Badger out there at free safety. You got Marshawn Lattimore. He's missed a lot of time as well. If he could stay healthy, he's a great corner in my opinion. Um, but I do feel like overall, Dennis Allen and Derek Carr, they're on the hot seat. I feel like this is a similar situation to Atlanta last year with Arthur Smith and Desmond Ritter. And I remember vividly, I said it last year, those two guys were on the hot seat, and those two guys are now with two different teams. So we'll see how this goes with the Saints. I want to know what you feel about this team. Are the Saints going to go marching forward or backwards?
I'm leaning towards them taking a step back. Like you said, they picked up Chase Young in the free agency the all season, but I think they got him on a 1-year deal. I think that knee injury that he suffered when he played with Washington really set his career back. Before that, he was kind of like just going with the motions, it seemed like he wasn't doing too much. And then he had that knee injury, and it took him like a year and some change to come back. He missed like the whole season. Then he came back next year like mid-season because it wasn't just an ACL. It was I think it was like a patellar tendon or something too. So it was definitely a devastating injury, and it took off some steam from him. They also picked up Willie Gay, a linebacker. They drafted a tackle in the first round, and then they picked up a guy from Alabama in the second round, cornerback, Kool-Aid McKinstry. So they focus on the offensive line and the secondary. They also got a new offensive coordinator, so maybe he'll come in and give a spark to Derek Carr. We'll see. Clint Kubiak, he was a passing game specialist for San Fran last year. So Brock Purdy, I think he had like a MVP caliber type season. I'm not saying the same thing will happen with Derek Carr, but maybe, he can make him throw the ball more. I seen like he was like he turned into a damn dink and dunk type of guy, in my opinion. He's got Chris Olave out there. I think he's a pretty good wide receiver. I know they lost Michael Thomas, but he's been banged up with injuries. It's like a damn nagging ankle injury or something that's affected him for like the last 2 years. And I believe he still is a free agent too. Last year, Alvin Kamara was suspended. You remember that video got released of him and some other guys. I think a player on the Chiefs turning this one dude into a damn doormat the way they beat the hell out of him. So he's suspended for like I think he was suspended like the first 6 games of the season. This year he's gonna come out the gate running. So I think that'll be good for them. He should be healthy. So, but yeah, they finished 9-8 last year. I think they're going to have a slight step back. I think they're going to be competitive still. I know Derek Carr. I agree with you, Derek Carr. You never know what you're going to get with him. He's a night and day. But I think they'll probably go like a 8-9, 7-10-ish type. I think they'll split a game with Tampa Bay, split a game with the Falcons. Maybe the Panthers they'll split a game. I think this division will be a bloodbath in this terms of division. I don't think none of these teams are like Super Bowl contenders, but I do think this division is gonna get a little bit more competitive, even more than it was last year when 3 of these teams were 9-8, 9-8, 7-10. So I do think they'll take a slight step back just because, like you said, I don't know how much they improve. I think if anything, they got a little bit worse, not a little bit better or anything like that. So yeah, I got them either finishing third or maybe tie for second, but at worst they'll be finishing third in my opinion. But yeah, I could be wrong. We'll see though. But yeah, man, so we got the Falcons done, the Tampa Bay Bucks done, the Saints done. Let's get into these Panthers, man. How you feeling about them?
Talented roster offensively. I just feel like, can they create a winning culture? It's been an issue that's been plaguing this team over the past couple of years. They've had yet again turnover at the head coaching position. They bring in Canales, I think that's how you pronounce his name, from Tampa Bay. He had a good season with baking those guys. Good passing offense there, but I've mentioned it a couple times last year during the show. Quarterbacks that go from the first year to the second year, I think they need stability at that offensive coordinator position. If you fire an offensive coordinator or an offensive head coach at any time when you have a young quarterback, you don't want it to be in that transition year from 1 to 2. Of course, they fired the coach during the season. You can't really, take that back, so they had to move forward. Um, I just hope that Canales can help Bryce Young because there are some uh, there's been questions in the offseason. Oh, will Bryce Young be a bust? Just because he didn't have a good
Mhm.
season last year, despite some of the guys he had around him, Thielen, and he had a pretty good run game in my opinion. So as far as the defensive goes, I think that they'll have to make some short fields for this offense to help them be successful. Um, I think the loss of Brian Burns going to the Giants is going to hurt them. I think Brian Burns was probably one of the best linebackers in the league. Always heard his name associated with the Panthers over the last couple of years. They got Jadeveon Clowney from the Ravens. He came over to add some veteran leadership on this defense. Um, but I do like their secondary, Xavier Woods and J.C. Horn. But I just don't think that they have enough right now. Plus the transition as far as a new head coach. We still got some questions with Bryce Young, as I mentioned, to make some noise in this division. Like you said, they could. Well, you mentioned with um, the Saints, they could split a couple games. Steal a couple games within the division. But I think as far as outside, when they have to play those big teams, uh, those teams that are consistent winners, I'm not sure how they'll perform in those games enough to win enough games to make some noise overall in their division, if not in the NFC or in the entire league. How do you feel about this Panthers team?
Yeah, I think they can't get any. I mean, they could get worse. They finished 2-15 last year. They could potentially not win a damn game next year. But I think they'll be a little bit better. I think
Yeah,
you make a good point about rookie quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, and not should be having some more stability at the head coaching position. But I think it could be a case kind of like Trevor Lawrence where they moved on from the Ohio State guy. I can't remember his name at the moment, and he got a new coach and he kind of took off and they played better just because they just because they were so awful last year. I mean, it's only it should be only up from here, man. They should win at least 4 games, I'm thinking, this year. Like you said, they picked up Jadeveon Clowney. They also got my boy Deontay Johnson over from the Steelers, so I think that'll be a good help for them. I think Bryce Young was sacked like 60 something times. I'm sure Sam Howell was sacked more just because he was getting sacked every damn play, it seemed like, but he was getting sacked a lot. I remember I was looking at his rookie highlights for Bryce Young. It seemed like the best play he had was like a damn 15-yard scramble. So I think he'll be a little better. They also picked up a wide receiver in the draft, Xavier Leggett, who has some great sound bites. Got a good thick country accent. I think it's funny, but he sings like a good nice personality, things like that. They also picked up a running back, Jonathan Brooks. I want to say he came out of Texas. So like you said, man, I think on the offensive side of the ball, they should be better. You mentioned the head coach, Dave Canales. He brought over a new OC with him from Tampa too, Brad Idzik, if I spelled that right. And they also picked up some guys in the free agency to help out the offensive line, a Damian Lewis and a Robert Hunt. So honestly, man, I think they'll still be the bottom of the division, but I think they should be a little bit better. I think going into another year, Bryce Young should play better than he did the first year. He just needs to make sure he doesn't hold on to the ball too long, get rid of the ball when he can. He has more weapons now. Hopefully another year for the rookie they drafted last year, Jonathan Mingo as a wide receiver. He'll be more improved. They got steady Adam Thielen, who kind of had a career resurgence, it seemed, because he came
yeah,
out the gate and was like a number 1 wide receiver for them, which was kind of shocking. But you bring in Deontay Johnson, that gives them another weapon on the offensive side of the ball. So I think they'll be better. Do I think they'll be competing to win the division? No, I do not. I believe they'll still be last in the division, but I think they can go. I'm gonna give them at least 5-11. How about that?
okay,
Improvement 2-15, which is god awful. My God, to I guess it would be 5-12, right? Yeah, because there's more games.
yeah,
Yeah, 5-12. So yeah, I think they should win at least 3 more games and get a little bit better, and then going into the future, hopefully they can improve. But yeah, I guess it is a make it or break it year for Bryce Young. I mean, quarterbacks usually get 3 years, but if they come out the gate stinking it up and finish 2 or 3 wins like they did last year, they'll definitely be drafting a quarterback. I think my boy Shador Sanders is probably going to
yeah.
come out the gate as a best quarterback in college football, but we'll see. But yeah, so to sum up the NFC North, we both think that the Tampa Bay Bucks will be top of the division or at least competing for top. We both agree the Falcons, second place. I think they could be potentially top of first. We think the Saints are going to take a step back. So I think you got them third too, then, right? New Orleans Saints third, and then we both think Panthers are going to be last. But I think they'll improve a little bit, and they'll still be last, but I guess 5 wins at least. Before we move over, we're going to talk about the NFC North. I want to go back. I was talking about the Hall of Fame game in the preseason. It featured 2 quarterbacks, especially on the Bears. Caleb Williams, hometown guy. He didn't play at all. He was on the sideline looking like a damn seasoned vet in his shirts and pants, just chilling, like having a good time. I mean, I remember back in the day, rookies played in the preseason. Now I get it. Guys don't play. They got more games in the NFL now, and preseason at this point has kind of become a joke as far as starters and high draft rookies as far as playing. But what is your viewpoint on rookies not playing? You think it's lame, or you kind of agree with it? I'm kind of on the fence about it.
Quarterback, you definitely need to play. I think they need as many reps
Right?
as possible, and it almost made it seem like, us as fans, I think, and some people in the media are like, they think the Bears have a really good chance this year to at least, step out of 4th place, and make a little bit more noise in the division because of the roster that they have. They said that this is probably a rookie quarterback that's going into the best roster on paper in a while. So to not have him play almost makes it seems like, as a coaching staff, they're kind of cocky and feel like he doesn't need these reps. That's what you could, kind of feel like. I think I would have wanted him to play if he was my number 1 overall pick, and I'm trying to turn this franchise around. I want as many reps as possible. We all know the injury um, aspect, I guess, definitely catches a lot of people's eyes, people concerned about preseason injuries and stuff like that. But again, as a quarterback, I think he needs reps. I would say probably we had 5 quarterbacks in the top 10 taken in this past draft. I think all 5 of them need to play as much as possible because of where they were drafted at. Now, you got a guy like, who was it? A couple years ago, the old Steelers quarterback. He's with the Eagles now. Little hands, Kenny Pickett. He was drafted, I think, number 20 overall. Someone like him, maybe not, as much because he was a little bit lower in the first round. But these guys within the first, 10 picks, they're expected to play, if not start the, week 1. So I feel like they need to play. Now, some of the other guys, different positions, maybe not as much, but I feel like the quarterback, they need as many reps as possible. How do you feel?
No, I definitely agree. I think I was like, I get it. Oh, it's the injury risk. I mean, there's always going to be an injury risk. He could come out kind of like Aaron Rodgers, first game of the damn season, 4 plays and blows down Achilles. So it's just always going to be injury risk. But I agree with you. You need those reps, especially he's going to be the number 1 certified starter in Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
I'm kind of concerned. I think the rest of the teams are going to do this. I don't think Drake May is going to play. I don't think JJ McCarthy's he's in a quarterback battle, I guess, with Sam Darnold and Bo Nix. I think all these guys should play, but I'm kind of concerned. I think the more teams are taking a conservative approach, and they're not going to play any of these guys. I mean, even the Bears wide receiver that they drafted later in the first round, the top 10 pick, Roma Dunze, he didn't play either. So it's like a lot of these guys, the top picks at least, aren't playing. I get it, but at the same time, I agree with you. You need reps, especially if you're a rookie. I mean, come on now. Give the fan. I think it's also a entertainment aspect. I get it. On the other side about CJ Stroud, he kind of proved that he maybe doesn't need preseason to play, but it would have been pretty cool to a series at least. Can we get a series out of these guys? So I mean, I kind of think this is where we're heading to in the future. Guys are going to play less and less, and there's more time for guys trying to make the team and backups to get their shine. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But all right, we just got a preview of the NFC North. Now, the NFC South. Now let's talk about the NFC North. Brandon, which team you want to start with, man?
2 teams to the playoffs last year. I'm gonna start with Green Bay. I feel like that they're going to win this division. I know a lot of people are I think for the second year in a row, are going with Detroit to finish number one. I feel like I really like the addition of Josh Jacobs for them. This is a team that ran the ball pretty well last year. I was kind of surprised that they picked him up, but I do like the addition of him. Go along with AJ Dillon there in the backfield. You got Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love, another year under the belt. We're not going into this year of questioning how Jordan Love is going to play. I think, I like the guy, last year heading into the season. I would rather have Aaron Rodgers there last season, but we now know that this guy can perform. He can play under the lights. He could play in the playoffs. He's won a game in the playoffs. Um, he played pretty well against San Fran in the elimination game in the second round of the playoffs last year. So he doesn't turn the ball over much. He had a 3 interception game against the Raiders. And he tossed 2 interceptions each against Pittsburgh and Detroit. There was a meme on Facebook or Twitter or something that they was like, "Oh, this is your highest paid quarterback." It was a play against the Falcons. I think he was going down the field in a 2-minute drill, and he inadvertently snapped the ball or like tripped over towards the right guard and like fell into the right guard and got a false start penalty. But I mean, besides that, I mean, Jordan Love really, I think, took this team as far as they could go last year. For sure. And then a defense that's very young. They've been drafting defensive players the entire time Aaron Rodgers was there, and it was caught so much scrutiny. Why don't we get a wide receiver? Why don't we get a wide receiver in the first round? When are the Green Bay Packers going to draft a wide receiver in the first round? Guess what? Aaron Rodgers is gone. They still didn't do one this past year. But the defense plays fast. I've always been a big Jair Alexander fan. I think he missed some time last year. My biggest X factor for Green Bay is Quay Walker. I think when he's focused, he's the best defender on the field for them overall. Again, him and Jair Alexander are those, that back seven, they got it locked down. I think they can do a better job at defending the tight end. That was an issue for them last year, and they've never been very good on special teams. So if they can improve their special teams coverage and work on covering the tight end, I think this team is pretty good and set overall. Their wide receivers are pretty good. So yeah, I really like Green Bay to finish in first place for the NFC North next year. What about you?
Yeah, they finished 9-8 last year. I think they can potentially win 10, 11 games this year. I'm not sure if they'll actually win a division. I still like the way Detroit's moving, but they'll definitely be a contender, not in just their division, but the whole conference, I think. You hit it right on the head with Jordan Love. You saw something in him that I didn't see at first, and he came out there and definitely proved that he's worthy of that contract he just signed, in my opinion. Aaron Jones is gone. They picked up Josh Jacobs, like you said. Aaron Jones left on the offseason. He's with the Vikings now. They also picked up some guys on the defense side of the ball, safety Xavier McKinney and cornerback Keyshawn Nixon. And they drafted a lineman, Jordan Morgan, in the first round. They had 2 picks in the second round. They drafted a linebacker, Edgerrin Cooper, and then a safety, Javon Bullard. So hopefully those guys can have immediate impacts on both sides of the ball for them. But, yeah, man, I like Jordan Love a lot. I don't know if he's going to be, the guy to right away put them in Super Bowl contending mode, but I definitely think they'll be, battling for a top seed in that conference, at least, if that makes sense. They don't have any receivers who were drafted in the first round lately, but the receivers they got, they're all young and they all can play. I mean, Romeo Dobbs is pretty good. They got this guy named Jaden Reed. He was a rookie last year. He kind of reminds me of Deebo Samuel because when he gets the ball after the catch, he's really good. He's breaking tackles and he's fast. And Christian Watson, I'm not saying he's like Devontae Adams, but Christian Watson is a pretty good young number 1 receiver. And Jordan Love, he's got that kind of he got an arm where he can throw it. We about to say?
He gets like in a 3 or 4 game stretch where he's like really good. He has those type of stretches. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to say he got hurt a little bit last year. I don't know if it was early in the season. I remember he was hurt for a little bit, and I kind of like derailed him a little bit. But that receiving core they got 3 really good guys, I think, and they're all young. I think Romeo Dobbs might be the oldest. I could be wrong about that, but they're all still young. I think they're all still on their rookie contract. So I think Christian Watson, he's going to be even better. I think Jaden Reed, everyone remember Jaden Reed, in my opinion. I think he's going to take a little leap forward. And then Romeo Dobbs, I like him as well, too. So this offense, I think they're, like you said, with Josh Jacobs, as long as he can stay healthy, I think this offense is going to be high powered. And I couldn't remember the guy's name. Quay Walker, was that the dude who lost his cool? I think it was like a Monday night game and he got ejected. I think that's him, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty damn
Like
good.
you said, he's a really good player. Hopefully he got his mental in check. He's a little bit more mature because I think he's like you said, the best defender on that side of the ball too. Then Jair Alexander, yeah, man, I like him. I think he's a good cornerback, lockdown cornerback in some situations as well too. So I think they'll definitely, if they're not first, they're going to tie for first with Detroit or in second place. But yeah, I can see them winning 11 games at least this season. So yeah, man, who you want to talk about next in NFC North?
Detroit, I know we both mentioned them in our Green Bay discussion. I think this is one of the few rosters in NFL I didn't feel like needed any major improvements from last year. Not too many teams that could say that. They got an efficient quarterback, stellar tight end, um, good wide receivers, great offensive line. I mean, their offensive line was just fantastic last year, and playmakers all over on the defensive side of the ball. Of course, your former Michigan Wolverine Aiden Hutchinson anchors that defense. Um, I just don't I just don't trust them 100% to be consistently good. I mean, they shocked me last year for as good as they did coming out the gates, and then I think was it late October they came to Baltimore, got their ass beat. And that's not just saying that because I'm a Ravens fan. Like I thought that was going to be a blood, a tough battle because the coaching, that's a tough team like us and the Steelers. But they just, yeah, it was bad. But each game they lost last year was 10 points or less. Again, except for the game against us, and they lost the game against Chicago was more than 10-point loss. So they was in every game for the most part last year. I think the strength of their team is the tight ends and of course Sam Laporta, Brock Wright, and the linebackers. We talk about Jack Campbell, Alex Anzalone. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Those guys, 1-2 punch on both sides. There are, I think, are those teams their strength. But yeah, I think they will be in a close second place. Like you said, they might with Green Bay, they might tie there, and it have to come down to their divisional record. But yeah, I think I like Detroit. I just don't 100% trust them just yet. So hopefully they'll gain my trust this season. What about you?
Yeah, I think offensive side of the ball, they're high powered. Jahmyr Gibbs was a rookie last year, really good. They got a nice 1-2 punch now with Montgomery as another lead back for them. I think in the offseason, the draft, they focus on defense a lot, specifically the secondary. I mentioned earlier when we talked about the NFC South that Carlton Davis got traded. This is the team he got traded to. He got traded to the Detroit Lions. They also signed a D tackle, DJ Reader. And then in the draft, they drafted 2 cornerbacks in the first and second round, respectively. In the first round, they drafted Terrion Arnold out of Alabama. And then they drafted Ennis Rakestraw in the second round. They did release one cornerback, Cam Sutton. He was having some domestic violence issues. I think he was like went AWOL a little bit as well. So they released him. And then my boy, of course, they had Teddy Bridgewater, their quarterback, as a backup. He retired. He's now coaching high school in Miami. He's also looked like he was playing a little bit on a scout team or something. So good luck to him and everything that's going on. But yeah, man, with these new additions on offense, Carlton Davis is a pretty good cornerback. And that NFC North, they got some playmakers. And Justin Jefferson is a debate. He's like the top top wide receiver in the league. I think he's right up there. I think he could be number one. I mentioned the receivers that the Green Bay has, and that's kind of their weakness last year, in my opinion. That defense, specifically the secondary, was kind of giving up big leads or giving up gashes or couldn't hold on to the lead. So I think with these additions, they should be better on the defensive side of the ball. I know Jared Goff has been to a Super Bowl. He started off bad with the Lions, and then he came back and improved each year. They finished 0-5, but I'm still not sold on Jared Goff as far as them getting them over the hump. That's my only concern with the Lions. I know he's got the accolades as far as successes winning. Like I said, he's made it to the Super Bowl, but I just don't know if he has what it takes to get them over the hump. With the weapons they got, though, I mean, my guy, I'm blanking on my the wide receiver's name who they got what's my guy name? He's got a brother who plays too. I think he plays for Green Bay or used to play for them. Amon-Ra St. Brown, yeah. Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think he's great. You mentioned Sam Laporta, the tight end they got. He was a stud even as a rookie. So I think they'll be right there. I don't know if they'll be 12-5 again. I could see them winning 12-5, but I think Green Bay is kind of going to. I think Jordan Love is going to get even better, and I think Detroit. I think they'll stay where they're at, or they'll get a little better. But I don't know if it'll be enough to win the conference, if that makes sense. I think they can win a division, but as far as winning the conference, I still like San Fran a little bit. And then, like I said, Green Bay. I think they'll, like you said, Jordan Love. As I think he can do a little bit better than Jared Goff. So I think as far as the division, as far as the NFC North, the Lions is going to stay where they're at least. I think they're going to be fighting for first place. If anything, just go down slightly to second place. But I can see them winning at least 12, 11 games again. So, yeah, Detroit, Green Bay, who you want to talk about next, man? Vikings or the Bears?
I think I'll go with the Vikings. That's who I got coming in third place. Sam Darnold, JJ McCarthy, Nick Mullins, and Jaron Hill. Those are the quarterbacks for Minnesota. I've been concerned with their quarterback situation over the past several years, and that concern still stays there. And I forgot to mention Ghost Man with Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's a quarterback battle there with Minnesota. I think that the rookie will win it because, like I said, when you draft a quarterback top 10, it's rare that they don't end up starting. If not, definitely he'll be in there early in the season. Good news is that whoever's throwing the ball this season for the Vikings, somebody's going to catch it. They have a very talented wide receiver and tight end group. TJ Hawkinson. They added former Raven Josh Oliver. That's what I mentioned, a good tight end group. You know, you want to have two good tight ends, in my opinion. Jordan Addison came in, had a pretty good rookie season for them. And, of course, the man that got paid in the offseason, like you said, if he's not the top wide receiver in the league, he's definitely 1, 2, or 3, depending on your personal views. Justin Jefferson there for the Minnesota Vikings. I think I got a little bit better feeling, like I said, for J.J. McCarthy. I was concerned when they first drafted him, but I think that by mid-season, he'll be enough to help them win games. You know what I'm saying? I think he'll be over the rookie mistakes that most quarterbacks make in their first season. From the defensive side of the ball, I'm trying to figure out who's going to be their top pass rusher. They lost Daniil Hunter and DJ Wanham. These guys combined for more than 24 sacks last season, and nobody else on this roster had more than 3. So if I'm if I'm a Vikings fan, I'm trying to figure out who's going to get to that quarterback, and they need to figure it out fast before the season starts. So yeah, I do. And one thing that always catches my eye about the Vikings at low key, because he's a little bit older and up in age, is the player Harrison Smith, a veteran safety. He's been around for a long time, and I noticed he was on the top 100 list. I think he was in the 40s, voted by his peers. So, yeah, I always do like watching him play. I think, I always like the safety position from being a Ravens fan with Ed Reed. So I think I got much respect for Harrison Smith. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on the Vikings this year?
They finished 7-10 last season. That was with Kirk Cousins and there's a torn Achilles, so they kind of fell off at the tail end. Kirk Cousins is gone now. Like you said, they picked up Sam Darnold and they drafted J.J. McCarthy. Their running back, Alexander Madison, is also gone. But Aaron Jones signed with the team. I think he's a slight upgrade over Alexander Madison. I'm with you on the defense side of the ball as far as who's going to replace the productivity of those guys you mentioned, Daniil Hunter. They signed a linebacker, Andrew Van Ginkel, and edge rusher, Jonathan Grenard, in the free agency period. So hopefully those guys can come in and improve. But I don't know, man. Even with Sam Darnold, and I haven't seen what J.J. McCarthy looks like yet. We won't see until he starts playing. I wonder if he'll play in the preseason. Hopefully he does. I think he should, but you just never know these days. But I think the loss of Kirk Cousins, that productivity, the stability he provided at the quarterback position, I think Justin Jefferson, he's going to get his numbers with whoever throwing the ball. Shit, I could go out there and give him a wide receiver screen. He can make something happen, I think. So I think he'll be fine, but I don't know if those other guys will be able to, we'll see. I mean, Sam Darnold could come in and have a career resurrection. I doubt it. Maybe he'll prove me wrong. Maybe he'll win the quarterback battle out the gate and do some things. And J.J. McCarthy will sit on the shelf for a year or two. Or maybe J.J. McCarthy will win the quarterback position battle and come out there, and we'll see what he does. But I think they're going to definitely take a step back. I'm kind of on the fence. I kind of see them. I wouldn't be surprised if they finish last. I kind of like the Bears a little bit more, just with all the signings they picked up that we'll talk about in the future. So, yeah, I think they'll definitely take a step back. I don't know if they'll win at least 7 games this year. I think they'll be closer to 6 games, maybe 5, finishing 5-12, 6-11, something like that. They get 7 games, good for them, but definitely probably won't be contending to win the division. Doubt they'll make the playoffs this year. This is more of a rebuilding year, and seeing what they got in the quarterback they got in J.J. McCarthy. I'm sure he'll play. I don't know if he'll play right away, but we'll see. Hopefully he plays in the preseason, though. But, yeah, I'm leaning to them being 4th. I'm leaning to them finishing last in this division.
Okay.
But we'll definitely see what happens. All right, man, let's get into these Bears. How you feeling about them?
Yeah, a lot of pundits are making a big deal about how stacked this roster is. Like I mentioned earlier in the show, from an offensive standpoint, for sure, I agree. But can they make it all work? You talk about DeAndre Swift, Khalil Herbert, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, my guy. I always love watching him play. The rookie, as you mentioned earlier, he didn't play. Roma Dunze. Tight ends, they got pretty stacked tight ends. Cole Kmet, Mercedes Lewis, the veteran, he's still out there doing it. So from skill position set, they are good to go. The offensive line still has a lot of questions, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. I think when I think of the Bears, I always think defense, just from the 85 time. Of course, before we was born, we always hear about it. I think the Bears defense last year was their strength, obviously. Former commander Montez Sweat, Jalen Johnson, Tremont Edmonds headlined the defense. And then in the secondary, they added, I can always mess up his name, but Kevin Byard, I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, Kevin
And then
Byard,
his backup, Jonathan Owens, came over from the Green Bay Packers, who was making plays all over the defense for Green Bay late in the season as an injury fill-in. I think they just need to be able to generate some sacks. They was good with creating turnovers last year, but those sacks are good. They push you back, and help you get the 4th down a lot quicker. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they make some noise in this division. They did win 7 games last year. A lot of people talk about their first overall pick, obviously the quarterback, but they got that from the Panthers. So this team wasn't that bad last year. Like they made some noise, and so yeah, I like Chicago overall from looking at their roster, but again, can they make it all work is my biggest concern with them. You?
Yeah, I agree with you. I got questions about Caleb Williams. I'm going to support him, though, just because he's the hometown guy from the DMV area. They got some new people in the coaching staffs as well. New offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron. He's coming over from the Seahawks as their former offensive coordinator. And then Eric Washington is their new defensive coordinator. He's coming over from the Bills. He was their D-line coach. So, like you said, I like these pickups they had. You talk about Kevin Byard. And then they also got a tight end. They picked up Gerald Everett. So I think they'll be pretty good on both sides of the ball. My question, I guess, is how well will Caleb Williams play right away? A lot of people think just because of the weapons he has, he'll have like a CJ Stroud, tight season, but we never know. But he's definitely got the weapons. Like you said, Keenan Allen, great veteran wide receiver. I think he'll always have a guy he can throw the ball to. DJ Moore, who just resigned. They just resigned, gave him a contract extension. And then Roma Dunze, he was a he wasn't the top wide receiver pick, but he was in that first round, the first 10. He's definitely like a lottery pick. So they definitely got some names and weapons on the offensive side of the ball. Khalil Herbert, when he played against Washington, he looked like freaking Walter Payton. So he's definitely got some talent. Like you said, they picked up DeAndre Swift. So it's kind of remind me a little bit of how Detroit with Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery, who they got in the backfield. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is a little bit better than Khalil Herbert, but that's not taking anything away from Khalil Herbert. So I think they got a good 1-2 punch out of the backfield as well. I just guess my only question is Caleb Williams. But first overall pick, he's got a lot of expectations. I think they're going to be better than the Vikings with whoever they throw out there. I think he's going to be better than J.J. McCarthy and Sam Darnold, whoever plays for them. So I got them finishing third in the division. I'm going to say you said they got 7 wins last year. I think they can match that again. I think they can get 7, maybe even 8 wins. But I think that defense, I honestly think that defense is going to be a little bit improved. I'm going to miss Montez Sweat. I know we traded him over last year, but I think he's kind of pissed. Even though he got paid, the Bears did reward him with a contract too. But I think he's kind of pissed that the Washington let him go, and he's going to make some noise just to kind of make us look like fools for that. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I got Chicago winning at least 7 games, maybe even 8-9 games, in my opinion. But I guess it all depends on Caleb Williams. I wish he would have played. Hopefully, he plays some in the preseason. I think you got to play some, right?
Yeah,
You got to play
definitely
at least some. So yeah, man,
for sure.
we'll see. But so yeah, for the NFC North, so we both like Green Bay, Detroit. We're kind of like, who knows with that one? I think you got Green Bay number 1. I'm still on the fence. I could see Detroit going number 1 again, but if not, at least number 2. And then we kind of split up a little bit on Minnesota. You got them finishing third. I think they'll finish 4th. And like you said, Chicago, you got them finishing 4th, and I got them finishing 3rd. So yeah, that's the NFC North and the NFC South preview. I want to get a little bit into something different for the offseason or preseason preview. Bonehead moves of the offseason. I want to start with you, man. We talked about a little bit. I don't know if you're still going with what you got or if you got something new.
I'm gonna stick with mine from early in the off season in one of our last shows. As a part-time Jaguars fan, I will never forget the move by Trent Balk. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. He's heading to his 4th year as general manager of the Jaguars. He decided to trade for Mac Jones, mac and cheese.
That's your boy. Yeah,
I mean, why in the hell would you do that? And then you go back and you give Trevor Lawrence, you go pay him all that money. But my thing is, Mac Jones, he got benched in 3 games? Okay, like he's gone down since his rookie season. Like, it's been bad. The last 2 seasons have been bad for him. Like, I think he's part of the reason why Bill Belichick ain't there no more. But yeah, that's my bonehead move of the offseason. I'm gonna leave the floor to you from there. I think you got a better one.
Yeah, my guy Mike Tomlin and the Steelers. What the hell were y'all thinking letting this dude, my guy Russell Wilson, formerly known as Broncos Country, let's ride, do a condition test, and for some reason he thought it'd be a good idea. I don't know, maybe to boost morale, build camaraderie, but he decided, I'm gonna push a sled. You got your quarterback, your projected number 1 starter quarterback, go push the damn sled. Old as he is, of course, he gets a damn calf injury. So now, I mean, it's not like he's going to be out for the year, but he's hampered. You mean this is preseason. You're trying to get the offense installed. You're trying to make sure they got reps. Now you got to bring him along slowly because he want to go out there acting like he Friday Night Lights or something, playing in high school, pushing a damn sled. Man, if you don't get your old ass and do what you got to do as a quarterback, you are not Derrick Henry or some damn body. You're not Cam Newton back in the day. What the hell are you doing, man? So my bonehead move, I guess I got to give it to the whole Steelers organization for allowing that to happen. But definitely Mike Tomlin, who just hurts me because I love Mike Tomlin. And Russell Wilson, come on, man. What the hell are you doing? It constantly reminds me of Shannon Sharp talking back in the day. He was talking about how they were on the team plane and Russell Wilson was doing like high knees or something to like keep yourself to staying awake. And Shannon Sharp was like, if he was on that play, he's like, hey man, if you don't sit your ass down, try to go to sleep. That's exactly what it made me think of.
You know, whatever, right?
Huh?
Had that long flight across the pond.
Yeah.
Yep.
Try to do some damn
That's
high
wild.
knees. Man, sit your ass
That's
down.
wild.
So yeah, man.
Speaking of Russell Wilson, real quick, nobody knows this but me and you, but I remember when Russ went to the Steelers and I was like, hey, are you gonna since you were riding with the Broncos, are you gonna ride with the Steelers? You was like, well, Kenny Pickett's your guy, you gonna ride with the Eagles.
Yeah, man. Just oh my god, like come
It's been a
on.
wild all season for sure.
Yeah.
It's been a wild all season.
So yeah, man,
Things
we
you
talked about
never
the
thought would
NFC
happen.
North and the NFC South this week. Next week, who you trying to talk about? Which divisions you want to look at?
I think we'll stay with the NFC. You want to do the your division?
Oh God, what you
Your
want to do?
division in the West,
NFC East and NFC
so
West.
coast to coast.
Yeah,
See how they go.
you don't want to do an AFC? You want to do an AFC North? AFC
I mean,
South?
eventually the people want to know what you think about your division, so it's up to you. I mean,
Oh my God, you're
we
right.
could
You
we
might as
could
well just get it out the way
we could,
now.
yeah, we could
We
play
can
by
do
ear
that.
if you want.
Yeah, we could do NFC East and NFC West next. Oh God, yeah. I gotta make sure I don't get too out of there when we get up to the Commanders conversation. But yeah, we can do that. So NFC next show, folks, we're gonna talk about the NFC East and the NFC West. That sounds good to me. Before we go, I want to get into switch lanes a little bit real quick. There's a huge boxing card coming on tonight. My boy Terrence Bud Crawford, he's fighting. He's fighting a guy named Israel Madrimov. Madrimov, if I said that correctly, sorry if I butchered your name, sir. They're fighting today. I wish I would have went to the damn fight because it's LA. I'm about 50 minutes to an hour away from LA, but I'm gonna decide to watch it in the comfort of my home. I don't feel like dealing with these crazy ass crowds that be in boxing fights. So yeah, Terrence Bud Crawford, he's fighting tonight. The co-main, we got Pitbull Cruz versus Rayo Valenzuela. I definitely butchered that name. Then we also got Jared Big Baby Anderson. He's fighting Martin Bacole. And then Andy Ruiz, he's fighting Big Baby Miller. Those are the four top fights. But I think this is going to be a definitely good card, potential card of the year. Hopefully my dude, Terrence Bud Crawford, gets the job done tonight. But yeah, that's one of the switch gears for that real quick. But yeah, man, it's another great show. I want to thank everybody who supports us, watches, likes all our content on social media. This is the Breaking and Entering podcast. Brian, you got any last words, man?
Yeah, one more thing. Switch gears. I'm gonna push it hard over the next 3 months. Just over 3 months to the election. I think it's November 5th. Not telling y'all who to vote for. Young people, go get registered to vote. People that's of age, make sure you register to vote. If you recently moved, all that type of stuff. This election very important. As someone that works in news, I follow it very closely from a local standpoint. So yeah, again, if you're not registered to vote, go register to vote. It's free, obviously. Your vote does matter, especially in those mayoral, governor, congressional type election. Of course, this year is a presidential election as well. So yeah, go register to vote. Make sure you vote absentee, early voting, or on November 5th, I believe the date is, but the first Tuesday in November for sure. That's it for me.
All right, definitely important stuff right there for sure. So yeah, man. Next week, or next time we have the show, NFC East and NFC West. We'll see you then. Thanks for tuning in, people. Love y'all. All right.